So after all is said and done, I've gotta move and have my fun. I'm gonna walk before they make me run. Yeah, a lot of people criticise Keith Richards' singing voice. And since 1970 something, can't remember now, early 70s I think, Keith has sung lead vocals on at least one song on an LP by the Stones. And he's also released 3 of his own solo albums. The first 2, very good actually. Not so keen on the third one somehow. It just doesn't, the production or something, I don't know. There's a couple of good songs in it, but anyway. But let me tell you, Keith Richards' voice is far better than mine. I hope you'd agree on that one. So, it's a little bit gloomy or something today. We've had 3 or 4 days of fantastically sunny weather, but this being Britain, the weather really never settles down to long periods of one thing or the other. It's very changeable usually. Apart from 1976 that I remember quite well, it was, if you're old enough to remember that, I must have been 11, and very hot. The grass was burnt, well, not burned off, but it wasn't green anymore. It was kind of brown due to lack of water. It hadn't rained for weeks and weeks. I don't remember how many, but many weeks. The moor up here was on fire, and there were fire engines. I don't know how many, but several fire engines at that constantly, it seemed to me. They used to come down to the river and fill up, and they would extend a pipe and into the river, and it would have a basket on the end, like a filter. It would act as a filter, so it wouldn't suck up any big, lumps of detritus or fish, I suppose. Well, it would still suck up small fish, but then they used to leave that pumping, filling the pump on so it filled the tender, and then they would go into the pub and have a couple of pints, I suppose, or whatever, and slake their thirst, and then go back up and do it all again. Happy days, at least for me, but probably very worrying for a lot of people. And then, of course, I think it was September, early September, it just rained and rained, and it didn't stop raining. And in fact, we were flooded. The cellar in the pub was underwater, and the barrels, because you only need a little bit of air in a barrel and it will float, and I can remember the noise of it bumping on the beams while I was walking on the floor above. Yeah, ruined the kitchen because it was on a lower level, got into the kitchen and ruined all the kitchen cabinets and fridges and freezers and stuff. Anyway, that's a while ago now. So I've made my car sticker, although it's not a sticker, it's just something to stick in the car window. And that's what it looks like. Now, I know it looks a little amateurish perhaps, but I'm an amateur at sign writing anyway. I've avoided the words flat earth because although it is an obvious like symbol, if you like, and it is also a trigger, and people get very angry, furious in fact, with when they hear those words, some people. And it's really their cognitive dissonance. They know that, this is the way I see it anyway, this is the way I looked at it, in fact, when I still believed in the ball nonsense. I thought to myself, flat Earth. And then I thought, well, there's more and more flat Earth videos or people involved in making videos, individuals. And why? Why would they think that? To me, it was so ridiculous at first. And then I, of course, started looking into it, and you find out not only is it so far away from ridiculous, it is in fact the truth. Yeah, and that is difficult. But your cognitive dissonance, I understand what that is because I've experienced it with this subject. But I'm not saying that you all should do the same what I do. Just invent your own if you're going to do it. If you drive a car and there's some room for a sticker, do that because people will see it. Yeah. So people still think, I really have no idea how they would think this, but they still believe that the Big Bang is reality. And if you don't believe the Big Bang is reality, yet you still have, you still think you're living on a spinning ball, you're wrong. You're not wrong about the Big Bang, because that is bullshit, but you're certainly wrong about living on a spinning ball. You see, the whole concept of the ball model is really based on Big Bang. It really couldn't be here without that. And I suppose most people, when they heard it, they probably heard it on a BBC radio or television program, and they think these people are far smarter than they are, and so they just defer to authority. They think they must know because that's the field of science that they work in. But it's not science. It's science. Now, it's bullshit science, or wave your arms around in the air science, or pseudoscience. That's the better term, I think, because it's you need to base a scientific experiment on something that's real, something tangible. Now, the Big Bang could never be falsified, so you can't say there is a tangible process that you're working with there. You have absolutely no idea at all how many billion years ago. Come on, it just it beggars belief that people with some idea of the concept of life, perhaps, can come to these ridiculous conclusions. That's why, in my opinion, it is meant to be a deception. I think that it's maybe even it was back engineered as a deception, and I don't know which Nazi. Supposedly a Nazi said, "If you tell a big enough lie, the people will believe it." And if that is a true quote, then it is very apt for this subject, because it's a big bang, big lie, because it's nonsense. It's total nonsense. how can you get everything from nothing? I don't think you can. So, well, come on, you can't, can you? Well, okay, I think I've said this before. Yes, an acorn, that's not nothing. An acorn isn't nothing, but an acorn potentially could be a massive tree. Well, only an oak tree, but it would be a massive oak tree. However, it has for the energy for that tree to be that massive, to be that big, it has used energy of the earth to grow. And the energy for the Big Bang are supposedly all in this nothingness, this something that's called a singularity. Like I said before, that if it was in this room, I couldn't find it. I know it's a bit of a mess in here, but I still couldn't find it. But apparently I could, because it would just fall through the floor because it would be that heavy. So if it were on no, well, I'm not even going to go there because it's so ridiculous, ludicrous, stupid to think that people would come up with this concept, and even more ridiculous to think that people would believe it. People working in that field would back that as a theory. Now, the common man, when hearing this idea, the Big Bang, on the television, on the radio, would think, possibly I did, that, oh, those people know what they're talking about because that's their, that's their life's work or whatever. That's what they chose to study. They went to university, big deal, and got a degree in this nonsense, and so therefore they just perpetuate the bollocks. So I think it was the guy in the chair who's just supposedly died, Stephen Hawking. He says in the first part of the book that he wrote about life, the universe, and everything, or something like that it was called, that of course all this could be total bullshit. And it was like a disclaimer, if you like, and he was right, of course. That is probably the only truthful passage in the whole book. But it also lets him, it's like let me tell you about my dream. Of course, it's just a dream. And then the whole book is full of the dream. That's the way he could they use it as a get out of jail free card. Of course, he doesn't need to now. He's dead, and he probably died many years ago. Like I've said before, I had a friend with the same thing, and he certainly didn't last 2 years. And I know a couple of other people, and they died within 4 years of the same thing. Within 4 years, I think one was 3 years. But anyway, you don't last very long if you do have that motor neuron. Yeah, there may be different strains of it, or it may affect people differently, like multiple sclerosis. Some people fail very quickly, and some people carry on, and it goes into remission. And the individual person is a big figure in this, in MS anyway. And I don't know anything about motor neuron really, but he has the record by far for the person who survived the longest with it. So I don't think there's anybody survives 5 years. Could be wrong. Anyway, I must go now. Do more digging. So take care. See you soon.